To the first story for today, angry because I keep asking for clarification, so we aren't wasting money. Have fun explaining why we just blew $90K for no reason. I worked in the logistics department of a fairly large company. My job is to check our system for orders that come in and to arrange the shipping for them. When the orders come in, they include the date that the material needs to be delivered. There are times that our materials planning team makes a typo and inputs the wrong date. But it's rare. Our company is huge on having work instructions and standard processes for everything we do. My work instructions say to plan the shipment to deliver to the needed date in the system. There is one material planner who has a history of inputting the wrong date. I had to ask her a number of times in the past to verify the date, and she would go in and correct it. There were a few dates that looked wrong, so I emailed her and asked her to confirm. She flipped out saying that she isn't making those mistakes anymore, and I am wasting her time. She reported me to my manager for not following the process or my work instructions, and he flipped out saying I am going against our lean company culture, and that I will be written up if I go outside of the process again by emailing the material planner. A month or so later, I see an order come into our system. A huge order with a combined weight of 30 pounds. I check the need date and it needs to be delivered in 3 weeks to Colorado. And it's currently in India. I know what project this is for and the need date definitely isn't right. This stuff has at least 2 months before it's needed on site due to building delays. The material planner never updated the needed date to reflect those delays. So what do? I check the work instructions my boss wrote, and it says that if the order can't make the needed date in our system via ocean, then it needs to go via air. I sure as hell am not going to email the planner to ask for verification after what happened last time. So I get in touch with our logistics company, and it's going to cost close to $100K to fly the material from India. That's $90K more than shipping it via ocean. I set it all up, and once it gets loaded on the flight, I send the material planner the documentation. It wasn't even 2 minutes before she calls me flipping out. I tell her I plan the shipment to deliver by the date she requested. And there is silence. After a long pause, I say, "Is there anything else I can help you with?" She hangs up and my manager calls, also flipping out. I tell him I did exactly what he told me to do, and I followed the instructions he wrote. He told me I should have known better and that my job was on the line because of this. False. His job and the material planner's job were on the line because of this. I did exactly as I was told and was following the company culture. HR and upper management launch an investigation, and I'm cleared of any wrongdoing. I was specifically instructed to not go outside of the work instructions my manager wrote. The material planner is written up and my manager gets in deep shit because he forgot to add an approval process for shipments over $15K to his wonderful work instructions like his manager had asked him to. And to the second one, can't leave your office until I'm in dress code. Great, let's hang. Alright, after lurking for ages and enjoying all your fantastic stories, I think it might finally be time to post mine. Public school. I was almost 18 in my senior year of high school, and I was and still am super into fashion. I got this great skirt that was admittedly short, but still pretty clearly within my school's dress code. Of course, I had to show it off, paired with a completely opaque pair of black tights and some sturdy boots. Not an inch of my actual leg could be seen. I stepped out of the car as my dad dropped me off and stopped to straighten my skirt. The closest administrator, gonna call her Ms. Bell, took this for me trying to make an inappropriate skirt passable enough to walk by her to my first class. And she wasn't having it. She immediately and not very nicely told me I had to go change into scrub pants provided in a place we had called the Choice Center, which was also where kids who misbehave get sent for ISS or detention, and it's called that because it's where you go to deal with the consequences of your choices. I asked how it was out of the dress code and demonstrated that it was the right length. She refused to elaborate and threatened to write me up if I didn't get going. I arrived in the Choice Center and explained what had happened. The male administrator looked me up and down confusedly and told me I was fine. He sent me to my first class with a late pass and no scrubs. I guess he talked to Ms. Bell, or maybe she just really had it out for me. Because no sooner than 15 minutes after I arrived in class did my teacher receive a call from the front office. You guessed it, it was Ms. Bell asking for confirmation that I had changed. My first period teacher knew nothing of the morning's events and told her no. I hadn't changed, but also that I didn't need to as I was within the dress code. That wasn't good enough. Ms. Bell sent someone to escort me to the office to meet with her personally. I made my way into Ms. Bell's office, where two other administrators were present. They didn't say a word while I was there, they just spectated. Ms. Bell informed me that I had interrupted the meeting she was having with them by not complying earlier, or something to that effect. I told Ms. Bell that my outfit had been approved, and I didn't have any scrubs to change into because they weren't ever given to me. And she didn't buy it. Here's the malicious compliance you're waiting for. She insisted that I had scrubs in my bag to change into, and wouldn't look into my bag when I opened it to show her that I didn't. She told me, verbatim, to take off that skirt, put on the scrubs from your bag, and give me the skirt for safekeeping so I know you don't put it back on like you must have already. She told me I was wasting her time. I widened my eyes and dropped my backpack, feigning surprise and innocence. I raised my voice an octave. You want me to undress? You want me to take my clothes off and give them to you? Great choice of words, Ms. Bell. Without giving her a chance to respond, I unzipped the skirt and took it off right there. I had very little shame and a pretty strong distaste for authority, I will admit. She wants me to undress. Sure, my tights are completely opaque anyway. Keep the skirt, I'll wear this. I handed it to her and she stuffed it in her file drawer. Needless to say, Ms. Bell wasn't a fan of my shameless stripping in her office. She demanded that I put my scrubs on, and again I reminded her I didn't have any because I was confirmed to be in dress code before she took a third of my outfit. I asked if she wanted me to take the tights off too, and of course, she said no, but that I couldn't leave her office until I was in dress code. One of the other administrators had excused himself, as I started to undress before. So I plopped right down in his chair. I can't leave until I'm in the dress code, which you took me out of. Sounds like an easy first period. Great, then I'll be on my way as soon as I get that skirt. I got my skirt back eventually. On my way back to class, the secretary told me how cute it was. Now on to the third. Tell me to hide period products in order to not offend male co-workers. Consider it done. Background: I work in a fast-paced healthcare environment where every minute counts, and I have both male and female co-workers on my shift. We have lockers with opaque doors where we're allowed to store our things. When I'm in the office area, I leave mine unlocked for easy access. And I've started keeping a box of tampons in my locker. I've told my female co-workers if they're in a hurry and need a tampon, they're welcome to just open my locker when it's unlocked and I'm in the office and take one. No problem. I got called into my boss's office the other day because a male co-worker of mine complained that me keeping tampons in my locker was disgusting, and he hated that he could see the box whenever my locker was opened. My boss, a male, told me that some men were really sensitive to this type of thing and that I should try hiding them in a different type of box so I wouldn't offend my co-workers. I asked what the point was because my co-workers would see someone reaching into a crackers, Pop-Tarts, etc. box and taking out a tampon instead of food anyway. My boss got all huffy and told me that it was for the best, and I needed to do it. Well, fine. I made a cover for my tampon box that said Mother Earth's Bloody Nutrients Bars, with extra gooey, nutritious filling, with a photo of a bloody bathtub, and placed it on the box. That was 2 days ago, and I saw the male co-worker open my locker trying to be sneaky, and he paled when he read the box. Got all angry, and I received an email from my boss that my cover wasn't funny and that I need to take it down. So I emailed our HR person a copy of the email as well as a summary of what happened and photos of the lockers, the box, and the cover. I also suggested that the male co-worker sit somewhere where he didn't have a direct line of sight to my locker if it really offended him so much. She thought it was freaking hilarious and said I followed my supervisor's instructions, and so I was fine. Nothing else has been done yet, and I'm mostly angry that my time was spent on something as stupid as this and not on patient work. And let's get on to the fourth story. My boss scared off rude customers by literally taking a closer look. I used to work at a store run by a woman named Irene. She would buy vintage and high-end items, repair them, and then sell them in the store. We didn't have multiple sizes of things, and the only bulk items we bought were little trinkets and soaps, sometimes jewelry. One day, when Irene had gone out to get more supplies, the dickless couple walked in. The wife, who looked like vegan cat vomit rolled in crystals and hemp, was on the wrong foot the moment she opened her mouth. Jerking seemed to think we were her slaves, that she was the queen of the world, and everything had to be in her size. Her husband Vernon would grunt and repeat what she said in a more nasally aggressive voice. It was the longest 2 hours of my life. We had everything organized by size and did not have extras in the back. After explaining that to Yerkina for the 100th time, I was about to throw a purse at her head. This is not my size. Why don't you have my size? I told her to maybe look at a larger size rack, because obviously she was not a 2, she was a 6. No, 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 I am a 2. I have always been a 2. I was 2 when I had my kids. I am a 2 now. Vernon repeated the same thing. No, she is a 2. A 2. A 2. Irene came in while the happy couple was shopping and asked what the problem was to me because I had that look. I explained the woman was being picky. Eventually, the woman stormed up again with a pair of pants, demanding I read her the size. I told her the size is 6 and she said, I am a 2, not a 6. Why do I fit into these? Irene ended up speaking with her. Those are a 6. If you fit into them, then you are not a 2. Yakina got silent, turned to her husband, and waved the pants around. Vernon said, now, listen here, I don't like the way you guys have been helping my wife. She asks questions and gets an attitude. You should use your eyes and actually look at the tag and see if there is a problem. She wants to know the size, tell her the size. Irene agrees. Sure, I will take a closer look. She puts the pants on the counter, pops out her glass eye, and holds it close to the tag. Still a 6. I start laughing so hard I have to sit down. The couple sputtered, waved their hands around like blind birds, and storm out. They left a huge mess I had to help clean up, but only after I spent 20 minutes laughing about it with Irene and the other cashier, Helen. Irene gave me money to get us all coffee. We closed early and cleaned up the store. Irene was the best boss I ever had. I was sad when I had to move to college. Now to the last story, the day I was hired and fired by a law firm. So this is about 5 years ago. I worked as a chef at a bakery. It was my job to make everything but the baked goods. Every morning the baker and I would walk in at about 4 a.m. and knock out all the food needed for the day. This would leave me ready to go home around 10 a.m. or so. This put us at the perfect time to deliver online orders. It was common for companies or other entities to place large catering orders with us. The baker and I would split them down the middle and deliver them on our way home. The delivery in question was for Bob, Dick, and Harry, attorneys at law. I have never delivered to BD and H before, but they were a regular of sorts. Every financial quarter, they would hold a huge meeting. This meeting would require roughly $700 of bagels and bagel accessories. This spread included 8 dozen bagels, all 10 of our flavors of cream cheese, pastries, brownies, and enough coffee to power a college dorm through finals week. My passenger seat, entire back seat, and entire trunk are filled with food. Now BD&H is located on the 9th floor of a commercial skyscraper deep in an industrial complex downtown. Parking was non-existent. There were meters outside the building, but I knew I would need close to 10 trips to deliver all this food, and didn't have a lot of change on me. Company policy was to just pay whatever fines I needed to park and then turn in my receipts. The money would end up on my next paycheck. So the building has its own parking garage, so I pull on in. The security guard, let's call him Sam, stops me and says that the parking garage is for employees only. I happily show him my delivery invoice and offer him a bribery bagel. Never leave the store without at least 2. Sam refuses the bagel and says I can park in one of the guest spots on the bottom floor. The fee is $5 for every 30 minutes, a minimum of $10. I thank him and head to the bottom floor of the garage. So there are a total of 6 guest parking spaces. Just 6. All of them are taken. I head back up to talk to Sam when I see an open parking spot reserved for Bob, Dick, and Harry, attorneys at law. There are cars in every spot, with many spots being reserved for employees by name. The last spot is empty and is reserved for guest of BD and H. Perfect. I pull on in. I grab the most important part of the delivery, the coffee, and head to the stairwell. I get into the elevator and hit the button for floor 9. The elevator asks for my employee ID card. Well, crud. So I try the lobby. That works. From there it's 9 flights of stairs until I am outside the law firm of Bob, Dick, and Harry. After introducing myself, I am shown to the room where the meeting will take place. A table is set aside for me. I set down the coffee and head for trip number 2. That is when I see Sam talking to the receptionist. He runs over and starts shouting at me. I am putting a boot on your effing car. I told you to park and guest on the bottom floor. I don't get a word in before he launches into a speech about security and how I could be hurting his building or people. That is when a very well-dressed man walks over. It so happens to be Bob, the Bob of Bob, Dick and Harry's. Bob asks what is the problem and soon the two are arguing. Bob, Opus is delivering food for my meeting. He is allowed to use my parking spots. Sam, those parking spots belong to the building. You are leasing them like you lease this floor. I am the one who says who can park there. He isn't an employee, so he isn't parking. Bob, then I am making him an employee. Sam, you can't do that. Bob, you know what? You are right. Harry, get over here. Harry walks over with an amused look on his face. Bob, Harry here is the head of our HR department. Harry, hire this boy. Harry pulls out a piece of paper and scribbles. Opus is now a member of Bob, Dick, and Harry's and signs it, then asks me to sign as well. I do so. Bob reaches over to the receptionist, who is already grabbing some things. Bob, here is your employee badge, your parking permit, and your elevator key card. Now please, do the job I have hired you to do, and deliver my bagels. Sam looks on in utter fury as I ride the elevator down to my car. 7 sweet elevator rides later, all the food is delivered. Bob and Harry meet me at the table. Bob, Opus, you have made great strides in this company, and I am proud of your work. But I feel it is time for us to part ways. Here is your final check. Bob then hands me a crisp $50 bill. Harry, and your severance package. Now please be sure to return your badge and card on the way out. Harry hands me $20 and sends me on my way. The receptionist is sure to validate the parking ticket that Sam gave me, and I head on out. On the way out, Sam grins at me and asks for my ticket. I place it in the machine in his station. It sees the validation I got and lets me out for free. Sam glares at me as I drive off into the late morning sun. TL, doctor, the security guard said I didn't work here so I can't park here. The client pretends to hire me to get around the rules. Never argue with lawyers. That's it for the video, thanks for watching.